We've got road closures for the booster. We've got air closures and water closures coming up for the flight itself. But right now, this countdown to launch is open. Hey, speaking of, Jay, can you roll the open? So about those launch dates, I think that may delay a bit.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
There's nothing to be igniting flare, correct?
Ship 36 just blew up.
Yikes. Keep that. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome everybody to Countdown to Launch Episode 2. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for today, where we continue to keep you updated on everything that you need to know ahead of Starship Flight 10, which, if all goes according to plan, is less than 1 week away. And gosh, that is hard to believe. So we'll get you updated on all of the latest road closures, all of the latest NOTAMs, not Mars, and all the other fun regulatory things, and of course, taking questions from you in the chat. But it won't just be me this whole time. I am joined by the competent cohort of co-hosts for the countdown today, starting with another C, Cody. Cody, how's it going?
It's going good. You know, usually I'm on the late night Starlink launches, and so this is a nice change of pace to be here counting down to launch. I'm really excited for the Starship Flight 10 coming up here.
Oh yes, it's exciting. And also joining us today is Alex to help with this countdown to launch. How's it going, Alex?
Well, I guess we should be countdown to launch, but also countdown to all of the things happening, because there's a lot of things that are going on right now to prepare for the launch. And so we'll probably talk about those today, I guess.
Oh, we definitely will. And again, a reminder, if you have questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight or at NSF now, and those will show up in our panel, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as we can as we go through this hour-ish long show. So let's get things started here with what is new today. Obviously, we went over a lot of the basics of what you need to know yesterday, but right now, we are seeing some new closures that have been popping up on the City of Starbase website, and one of them in particular is for this flight. Cody, what do we have for road closure now for Flight 10?
Yeah, so pretty recently today, we got the notice that there's going to be a road closure on August 21st from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. For the rollout of Booster 16. We're going to start to see that roll down the road, down Highway 4, down to the launch site. In anticipation for stacking there. So that's kind of what we've been waiting for, right? We've been waiting for the vehicle to actually get rolled out to the pad here in anticipation for launch so that they can get this thing fully stacked.
Right, I mean, we've been seeing a bunch of activity going on, at least there, with the booster. From what we could see, they were working in the area where the flight termination system normally is. So, I mean, it seems like they've got everything they need to do done that they can do over at the bays. Right, Alex?
Well, that's the hope at the very least. We want them to see, to have that ship, of course, all ready to go. And the booster, we talked yesterday with Adrian, Gene, and Ryan, talking about how they had already prepared Booster 16 for that rollout. Of course, it's not just the vehicles, but it's also the pad. We can see there right now the booster quick disconnect has opened after many days of being closed, having all of those modifications to the boost to the stand and everything, to the OLM pretty much to be able to test ships there, right? And so that's one of those things that they need to go through, of course. I'm sure they're probably going to be checking out all of those connections because they had to bypass those to be able to test the ship. And maybe we're going to get some purges here and there. I'm not aware if they all have already done that, to be fair. It's been recently, like maybe a few hours ago, that they deployed that booster quick disconnect. But yeah, those are the things that we should be seeing if they really want to roll this out in the next, little bit over 24 hours from now, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, a little bit over 24 hours from now for the Booster 16 pre-flight transport. Again, that's 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. Central Time, August 21st. But there's nothing in there about when they plan on rolling out the ship. Is that something that we need to be worried about, Alex?
Not yet. I mean, the ship can be rolled out a little bit later. They demonstrated on the previous flight that they could, in theory, just roll it out under 48 hours and still make it to a launch on time. So, right now as things stand, we could maybe see it by Friday night, or even like the night between Friday and Saturday, and it will still be potentially on time for a launch on Sunday. Because you gotta also remember it's Sunday, but it's also at 6:30 p.m. Central. Like, you have already gone through 18 and a half hours of the day, right? So it's quite a lot of time that you get there. It's not like, you're having the launch right at the beginning of the day. So you have to account the 24 hours of Saturday plus the 18 and a half from Sunday. It's enough, in theory, that, as long as we see a ship, ship 37 going out there by Friday, maybe Saturday early morning, I think that they could make it. The big question will be, because I'm already seeing a lot of people, not just in chat, also on SPL chat, also on our back channel, also on our member Discord. It's a whole thing where they're discussing the potential of rain this weekend, and like, can they launch in the rain? Sawyer?
Oh, no.
Can they static
it's
fire in the
cursed.
rain?
Well, actually,
Ship 36 just flew up.
which was in the new intro there. I'm sure some of you caught that watching the intro for the countdown to launch today. But yeah, that is something that we're keeping an eye on, of course, the weather. But it is worth noting, again, it is Tuesday. We are talking about for Sunday. That is still a long time away, and the forecasts this far out are not super accurate. So just something to keep in mind. It could very well change. It could be something like Florida, where it's a 30% chance of it happening, but that's just because of a random pop-up scatter shower. Or it could be where it's 90% go and a stupid cloud comes in at T-minus 1 minute and 7 seconds. Sorry, I'm not bitter about Crew 11. But anyway. Along those lines, though, there are a couple of other closures listed on there. So Cody, can you kind of talk about the other closures that we see for the next couple days?
Yeah, so listed for August 19th, which is today, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central, there's a listing for closure for pump testing. We believe that this is testing that is taking place on the tank farm for Pad B. And so being able to run all the pumps there, getting testing done on that pad, another step in the process of getting that pad ready for potentially later this year, maybe later next year, for actually getting those that pad ready for flight. And the other listing at the same time as the Booster 16 transport is that ring wall transport. So that will happen at the exact same time as Booster, and they'll just take it out to the pad there.
Yeah, and Alex, LCTA bus rider is wondering, what is a ring wall?
That's just the transport stands. Both the ship and booster transport stands, they are called ring walls. Technically, in their jargon, they're at SpaceX. I have no idea why they are ring walls, to be fair, but that's sort of the part of their lingo that they have there. So both the ship and both the booster, so for the booster and also the ship transport stands, they are also called ring walls. So yeah, I mean, what does that mean? Because they have this road closure. It says Ringwall transport, right at the same time as the transport of Booster 16. I have no idea. It could be many things. We also have this that is going on right now. These are two methane tanks. Jay, those are two methane tanks. They're only hooked up to Pad B or Pad 2 or whatever you want to call it. And part of the pump testing might be due to that. I really have not paid much attention today because I had to deal with other things. There's other things that we're working on. You may see it, hopefully 2 days from now. On Thursday, you'll see it, hopefully. But yeah, you can see there's already a little bit of frost. You can see some kind of venting going upwards. That's part of the Pad B tank farm systems. So they share a similar sort of storage tanks, right? There's like methane, nitrogen, and oxygen and all that. That is shared among the two pads. But then from there, you need pumps, subcoolers, and everything to reach each of the pads and everything. And so this side of the tank farm is solely dedicated to pad 2. And you can see some of that, plumbing and everything for the subcoolers getting really cold there as they are active. What the Ringwall thing might be about, I have no idea. It just means there's gonna be a transport stand on the road. If it is on the road, it's gonna be interesting. The last time we had that, it was the transport stand for a ship rolling to the launch site and being converted into a ship adapter to be able to put a ship on the launch mount. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to see. But I mean, is there any tank farm testing that we can kind of expect to see possibly then for Pad 1, Pad A, basically for this flight? And is that something that they would need to put up a road delay for on the website?
I wouldn't expect that for the whole reason that right now, so a lot of the modifications to make the tank or like the launch mount systems be compatible with the ship were only on the booster quick disconnect itself, right? So those lines were bypassed and sort of they disconnected one set of lines and then they reconnected sort of like another type of adapter, right? It's literally that. It's a bypass. You essentially just turn around with another pipe and put it out, and just instead of feeding a booster, you're feeding a ship. But now that they have taken that off, now they need to close all of that and reconnect things. And so I suspect they may do a purge test, which is just blowing high pressure through the pipes and clearing them out and making sure that they don't leak or anything like that. They actually had a problem with the temporary flex hoses when they were testing Ship 37, which was really funny. But yeah, that's the whole deal, right? That's the only thing that I would expect. And they've done that in the past. They have not needed any road closure. For this one, I'm mostly sure they did need the closure because they're using the pumps and subcooling some of the material there. It's not ideal to be around that when you have that active.
Well, when we're talking about the hoses, it's not like Booster 7, which kept destroying hoses left and right. Not that kind.
Not that kind.
R.I.P. hose. Let's see here. While we're talking about the closures, one thing that's worth noting also on the closure page is that they do list for if the beach is going to be open or closed. And as of now, again, this could all very well change, but there are 0 closures listed for the beach, including on Sunday. And Daniel's wondering, Cody, can SpaceX close the beach on a Sunday?
Yes, they can close the beach on a Sunday for our launch operations. It's one of the things there. You don't want to be around the rocket during any sort of fueling operations, especially during a launch there. So yes, the city of Starbase has the ability to close the beaches during certain times. I believe there are some restrictions around certain launch days. of when they can close the beach. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but for this Sunday they can close the beach, and well, they it's in their best interest to for public safety for this upcoming launch attempt.
Yeah, it's for specific holidays that there are really requirements of when they can or can't close down the beach. But they're still, what, about 3-ish, 4-ish weeks away from the next major holiday that would force them to keep the beach open. So I think that isn't a worry. But we'll see if they end up closing it or if they're going to leave it open for now and keep an eye on the weather, or what the deal is with when they announce that.
Yeah, and I will also add to that they have already launched on Saturdays and Sundays. So if you remember Flight 5, that was October 13th. And if you look at the calendar, I believe that was a Sunday. And there was also a recent one that was also on Saturday. But they have launched... They seem to like Thursday for whatever reason, and it wrecks me because we have This Week in Spaceflight all Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We tried 7 p.m. Eastern. And so we usually write the majority and record the majority on Thursday night. And so if there's a Starship launch, it sort of wrecks our timelines for that. Because we obviously want to include Starship on This Week in Spaceflight. But yeah. And when it happens on Monday, because this time it's happening potentially on a Sunday, but it's also happened before where it's been maybe on a Monday or Tuesday even. Like, it also wrecks with Starbase update that releases on Monday. Yeah. I guess we
spoiler
produced too many
alert. Spoiler alert, Starbase update gets recorded late Saturday so that we can edit it Sunday. So that makes it a little trickier when it's, hey, it's a launch Sunday. Let's go ahead and record this with the potential that it may never see the light of day because Starship launches.
I have no idea what we're going to do with this weekend stuff for Starbase update. I'm just saying this out loud. If anybody has any ideas, put them in chat.
Chat, help us out with our scheduling. Yeah, exactly.
I'm joking, partially, but yeah.
Anyway, let me take a second to thank some people here, and we'll get to more of your questions. Finn saying, "Rip SN2, the best water tank in Texas." Scally Fluffiness becoming a Padrat member, and Juan Breezer coming in with the €50 super chat, saying, open discussion. If SpaceX is doing the first human crew in Starship, how would they handle a run of the booster in the first 60 seconds of flight? Just shoot the ship away? Would there be alternatives? Amazing show. First off, thank you so much for the support with that. It's really beyond appreciated. And that's how we can have all these robot armies and countdown to launches and 60 streams in 1 week somehow. But I think that's still something that they're working on figuring out, is a launch escape system type deal for HLS, right, Cody?
Yeah. So if we think back to like the shuttle program, there were certain areas of launch where it was like it's very hard to abort from. And Starship, being in a sort of similar situation of a larger ship, doesn't really have the same capabilities of something like Orion or Dragon that can have smaller boosters to separate off the capsule, right? And so the ability for Starship to be able to abort in those first 60 seconds is a very critical phase of flight that they might just have to minimize the risks there to ensure that that doesn't happen. It would be very hard to actually separate the ship in that first 60 seconds of flight, right on the booster there. Yeah, it's all about risk mitigation in that time frame.
Yep, and again, that's something I'm sure we'll see as they progress, because keep in mind that's not just a NASA, or not just a SpaceX vehicle at that point. That becomes a launch vehicle for NASA, so they will obviously be involved, and there's crew safety things that they have to analyze to get the vehicle crew rated and all of that, so there's still a lot that will be worked out in the next couple of years. But keep in mind, they still have yet to do a fully orbital flight with a payload deploy, let alone getting people to space just yet. And Flight 10 is hopefully going to be critical in that we can break the curse that is V2 at this point. Jerome is wondering, based on the current timeline, road closures for the booster transport, etc., how likely is it that we will see a launch on Sunday and not get delayed? I mean, at this point, Alex, everything seems to be falling into place timeline-wise. at least from a hardware standpoint, right?
Yeah, look, if there's any delay, like, not expecting delays for a launch, especially a Starship launch, which is really it's a really complicated vehicle. I'm actually surprised we have not had many more scrubs, to be fair, considering how beast, like, look at this thing. This thing is huge. It creates its own shadow and everything. So yeah, it's like, it's a really complicated thing, right? That they are trying to launch, and the scale of just getting ready all of these vehicles, it's in, like, you cannot even comprehend until you are literally next to one of those. And so it's one of those things, like, you should expect delays, and if there's none, congratulations. So where I'm going with this is that everything currently seems okay, but that's currently, right? There's still a few more days until launch. So like, say, oh, they need to torque a bolt or whatever. It's not a bolt, but you know what I mean. Like, they need to do a few more things here and there. Now they are delayed a little bit here, a little bit there, and then when you least expect it, is already delayed a whole day, right? And so you know, it's one of those things. I would say, though, if it delays, it does seem like it might be just a day or two. Knock on wood, though, the weather does cooperate for a launch. We already had a scrub because of weather with Flight 7, if I'm not mistaken. We had lots of rain during our stakeout stream, so we'll see.
Exactly. And along the weather line, there is a question here, and I'll throw this one to you, Cody. Saad is asking, serious question, not as much as we joke about static fire in the rain, etc. Can they launch Starship in the rain?
This has to do with kind of cloud rules, right? Especially around rockets. Flying through clouds is a big no-no. We discovered this kind of around the Apollo era. During Apollo 12, I believe it was Apollo 12, or it might be Apollo 13. It was struck by lightning mid-flight because it flew through a cloud, and that generated a static charge, and, well, that fried the systems. And that's where the famous SCE to aux comes from. And so being able to not have that happen, you know, trying to stay out of cloud cover is a super important thing in spaceflight. So it's less about like the rain affecting it and more about, you don't want to launch near clouds because that can generate static charge. Along with that, inclement weather can just be generally bad for vehicles, right? Whenever you see rainstorms, there's often a lot of wind associated with that. In my experience, at least here in Oregon, where it rains a lot, maybe it's different down in Texas, but there's usually a lot of wind associated with that. And one of the other biggest challenges in a launch vehicle is things like wind shear, due to different levels of wind on launch vehicles, and launch vehicles are very susceptible to that wind shear. So while the rain itself might not affect it, the cloud cover and the wind associated with kind of inclement weather is going to definitely, it could cause delays if it ends up being like that from the forecasts.
But right now, as you can see from our camera mounted atop the Margaritaville Hotel, South Padre Island there, exclamation point hotel, great place to watch the launch. It looks pretty clear for now. We'll see what the weather ends up being a couple days from now, but right there, pad 1 and 2, or A and B, looking pretty nice. And so along those lines, while we're talking about things that still need to be done hardware-wise before we move on to regulatory stuff and paperwork, Alex Gabriel's wondering, what are the next steps for configuring the orbital launch mount for launch?
Well, I mean, it seems like they have at least the majority of all of the hardware that they had installed is gone now. Installed for the ship testing, I mean, of course. So right now, I'm sure they're doing final checkouts, making sure that everything is ready to go. They usually have this, you know, so sometimes people say, oh, SpaceX doesn't have bureaucracy and everything, but I guess the closest that they do have for bureaucracy is like, you know, following, you know, doing logs and things like that of their work and things like that. And then before a launch, they have these sort of meetings. They have a flight readiness review a few weeks before, then they have a launch readiness review. So the launch readiness review usually happens approximately the day before the launch. So they're probably going to go through all of the things here to make sure that once they go to that review, they go clean. There's nothing, any work open or anything like that. And so that is one of the things that they're probably doing right now, even though we see that they have already closed off everything, that they seem to have already removed all of the ship testing equipment and everything. They also seem, speaking of closing and opening, they are they are opening now again the booster quick disconnect. They had closed it. I was gonna make a joke about that, but there we go. They are opening now. And I'm assuming that they're also gonna be like, this is probably testing the opening and closing of that. We're seeing it live right now, right? So this is the sort of thing that we should expect over the next few days in terms of the hardware at the pad. Other than that, I don't expect much, other than, what we talked about before of the purges and things like that. We may see the Raptor quick disconnects for the outer 20 engines also being purged as well. So there's a bunch of those things that we may see. In terms of hardware, though, it pretty much seems like it's almost there. They are mostly in let's look at this and make sure that everything is ready to go.
Exactly. And by the way, shout out to Jay Keegan producing today for happening to be right upon the camera that showed the exact testing exactly as it happened. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, it's again still hard to believe in my mind that, what was it, less than a week ago the Starstool was on there? It's the timing that they have been able to modify the thing after everything that happened at Massey's with Ship 36, then be able to get the ship on it, do the test, remove the ship, put the ship back on because oops. It's impressive.
I'm trying to go here back on our streams. The rollout of Ship 37 was last Monday, and then they did a test on Tuesday evening. It was aborted because of the trickling flex hose. And then they tried it again on Wednesday morning. We all woke up really early for that. So less than a week ago, they did that spin prime test at something like 7, 8 a.m. or something Central, right? So we're not even a week after that spin prime, and look at the pad. It's already, almost there. It seems like they want to roll, as we were saying this, we were saying before that they want to roll the booster out in the next 48 hours, right? So once, a lot of people were really worried, what are they going to do with Flight 11? Surely they're going to test Ship 38 before Flight 10, right? It takes so long to put everything together. Doesn't seem like it to me.
Yeah, they were able to add it, remove it, put it back on, and get everything done in a very surprisingly quick amount of time. So it's impressive. I'm sure there's a chance we'll see it pop out again for Ship 38, depending on the status of Massey's. Let me thank a couple people here while we have a moment. Turtle Sanctuary, I am glad you decided to leak the Flight 10 patch. Not for me, of course. Can you put a pic for the people who haven't seen it yet? Good try. Everyone knows the patch will be released once we have a full stack. So everyone will be able to see it once we have a full stack, which again, based off of the roll, it sounds like is coming up kinda soon. So stay tuned. Also nice to see that people are now starting to get their Flight 9 and Shrug patches after the massive rescue effort from Jack and Dan. And Bideford, love to see her. Bideford saying, late to the party, work, thanks for this countdown to launch. Those pesky jobs, yeah. Well, thank you for joining, and thank you again, as always, Bideford, for your support. It is very much appreciated. All right, let's move on temporarily here to the regulatory side of things, because we have not Mars, NOTAMs, temporary, locals, there's a whole bunch of things that obviously needed to get done, and some new ones that just came out today. Cody, do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, sure. So what we've seen today is quite a few NOTAMs and NOTMARs go out. We saw the one for the Gulf that extends all the way out past, a little bit past Florida into the Bahamas there. And then we saw the one pop up today for the Bahamas there, specifically like Turks and Caicos area. And so as we get further closer to launch, they're going to start putting out these NOTAMs and NOTMARs, each for aircraft and for sea travel, to try and make sure that the area is clear for launch. Right? We don't want another situation where we're having to divert a ton of aircraft too far. And so these go all the way from the launch date of August 24th all the way out to like September 5th. And so these run for quite a while. And then along with the ones that we see in the Gulf for the actual ascent, we also see some in the Indian Ocean for descent. And so these are the ones that just ensure that the debris area for Starship entry are all clear, and just ensuring that vehicles aren't too close to a landing Starship. But yeah, there are they're different notices depending on the color that you can see on the screen, for NOTAMs and NOTMARs there.
Right. For those who don't know, NOTAM is Notice to Airmen, formerly Notice to Air Missions, basically letting pilots know. And then the NOTMARs is Notice to Mariners, formerly Notice to Mariners. So that is what we mean there. But Alex, there's nuances to that. There's ones that are larger, ones that are regional, right?
Yeah, I mean, for just airspace stuff, there's like the NOTAMs, but there's also the temporary flight restrictions. There's also, like, for example, when they do, like this sort of, like, there's the NOTAM, but there's also, like, within the NOTAM, you can, in theory, fly through, but then the TFRs, you cannot fly through. Like, there's this difference as well. It's a whole thing. And then for the water, there's the local notice to mariners. There's the NOTMARs, which are just in general notice to mariners. It's sort of it's like a global word for multiple different types of notices to mariners. There's like the broadcast version. There's the local version. There's also navigational hazard warnings. Usually we get those through the National Geospatial Agency or something like that. I don't remember the full name of that agency. There's like multiple different notices that we can at least see. As Pizza was saying in the back channel earlier, there are probably many other notices that we are not even aware of, that they are out there and we're just not even aware because obviously we're not in those sort of systems or any sort of, industry like that. But there you can see, when you join all of the different areas and everything from all of these notices, you can see there the launch part and then the re-entry part and everything. And this is just a small part. You can see there, I believe the blue ones, Pizza, correct me if I'm wrong. I know we are in a bit of a delay, so I'm already getting ahead of that. But I think the blue ones are for the marine notices, and then the red ones are airspace notices. And so, yeah, I know it's supposed to be said here, but I cannot read that on my monitor, so that's why I'm saying that. Sorry. But there you can see, for example, for the re-entry, there's only just a tiny bit. That is not an error or anything. It's because there's like multiple airspaces. So there's only being one NOTAM for one space. As we get closer to the launch, there's going to be all of the other notices for the other airspaces, because that's a really long entry corridor for that ship. So yeah, just expect more of these to be dumped over the next week or so. Usually these are like the least problematic of things. The most important things are to get the license and the approval from the FAA, and then everything sort of falls into place very nicely.
Which, again, it is worth noting they have. They have the
Exactly.
launch license. They have that approval. I know we're still expecting to be able to see the Mexican airspace ones pop up, the Mexican waters. Same with Cuba, because it goes right along that corridor there. We're starting to see the ones for Turks and Caicos, who, after having 2 ships land on top of them, are probably still not as happy and would make a living selling umbrellas. Almost like, if anyone remembers back in the day, obviously I was not alive for this, but for those who know, when Skylab was falling, there were people that would go out and sell Skylab protection helmets so that you could
Yep.
wear it in case Skylab fell down on top of you. I feel like we need Starship protection helmets now for Turks and Caicos and those.
Hey, it's better
Those
than the
waters.
Chinese core stage helmet, right?
Now Long March 5.
With a Long March 5, exactly.
Yeah.
This is not
See
the
how many
Flame
people.
Show.
See
I
how
think
many
we need
people
some of
actually
these in
remember
the
that.
we need the merch team to get on that.
Yeah.
For the
or,
first Starship orbital launch.
There you go. Yeah. Let's see here. Go ahead and take more of your questions. Let's see again. You could tag NSF in addition to NASA Spaceflight now. We've got different ways of being able to tag us and it popping up here in the software. Jimmy was wondering, obviously with all the questions about the launch date and waiting for everything to pop up, are there possible launch dates after Sunday? And do we know what they would potentially be, Alex?
Yeah, so right now it seems like they could launch on the 25th, 26th, 7th, and the 8th. Now, the weekend after this potential 24th, they cannot because there's Labor Day on September 1st. And that's a Monday, and in their sort of environmental stuff, all of their regulations and everything that they need to follow. One of the things is that if there's a federal holiday on a Monday, they cannot close the road or the beach, essentially the weekend before, and that includes the Friday. So the 28th will be the last one. I believe that's on Thursday. So they have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 different days to attempt a launch on August. Then the entire weekend plus Labor Day on the 1st. So after the 28th, the next one will be on the 2nd. And I'm guessing that they will have also after that, daily road closures and everything that they could, or attempts in general that they could try and launch Starship.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll find any opportunity they can to get this off, but hopefully it does go off on the first day, because it's been, knock on wood, pretty rare for there to be delays for Starship flights. One of them was weather, but in terms of technical, I'm trying to remember, Cody, I think there's only been one that delayed because of technical?
Yeah, I think it was the first test flight there with the engines. I forgot if it was the engines there, but it definitely was that first one. I remember watching that and being so disappointed. It was like, scrubbed. Because it was just right around when SLS went off, and there was that 1 day delay too. And so it was like, scrubs. So I'm glad that the Starship program's gotten a lot more, reliable there on the launches.
Exactly. Someone noticed that they were doing some painting on one of the pads. Any idea, Alex, why they paint the pads?
Yeah, the corner of the tower, you can see all the way to the left hand side. There are 3 different lifts. 2 are up on the launch mount, and then there's one at the bottom, sort of on the bottom of the tower and everything. They're painting that corner. I have no idea why. Maybe for protection. It's been a while since I've seen them painting anything here at the launch site. They no longer paint the launch mount either. It's just like, whatever. It'll get rusty and then it'll get toasty. It's okay. No paint.
What exactly does the paint do?
It might be for a little bit of protection, or it might be just aesthetics. It's like, whatever, just the visuals. Getting it looking nicer, I don't know. It beats me because I have no idea. Usually they do the painting. Sometimes they don't. As I said, it's been a long time since they have even painted the launch mount. I think the last time might have been around flight 7. Like, it's probably been 2 or 3 flights already that they have not painted. Maybe somebody can check me either in chat or in the back channel, but I think it was around flight 7 the last time they did that, and they have they have not tried it again. It's weird.
Yeah, it could be. I wonder if part of it's
It
I
could
wonder
be
if
like
part of it's for
corrosion.
potential corrosion. Yeah, given how close it is to the Gulf, which is the salt water there. So I wonder if that's part of it. And part of it could also just be, yeah, like Chris B says in chat, to make them pretty, kind of like with the external tank of shuttle. There you go. Speaking of something pretty, you guys want to see something pretty? You want to see something pretty cool? In fact, I'll wait till chat says yes, because if they say no, then we'll just move on.
Yeah, it's a little bit of delay, so.
Yeah, oh, I know. If you want to see something cool, though, yeah, it's just chat. Let me know. I think we can make it happen. I'll give you a hint. It's a Ryan Caton special, so I'm not saying what it is, but oh no, I'm. Oh my gosh, Chris, you're not helping.
It's not the patch 10 leak.
No, but it is still pretty epic. All right, I'm seeing some yeses. Jay, want to roll it?
Oh my god.
Flight directors, go for flight. Ignition. 2, 1. We have liftoff. Booster engine cut off. Ship engine cut off.
Well, what do you think?
There we
And
go.
little edits with music always get me so hyped, man. I love. Got to be one of the best things to see is just little bits of spaceflight there with a little bit of music. It's perfect.
Oh yeah, and of course, perfectly played in Jay. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to show it again with all the sound on it in the beginning. But it's still really cool. So glad you guys like it. And shout out to Ryan Caton for the amazing work on getting that in there. Spectacular as always.
And yeah, it'll be part of the launch stream. Not the stream itself, but like when you go to the launch stream before it begins, it's gonna be the trailer of that.
In fact, it's there already. So if you go to the Flight 10 stream that we have set up, make sure you also hit the notify me button so that you know when we go live for it, and don't forget. But you'll also be able to see the trailer there. So
you can watch it on your own instead of relying on that play from Jay.
this is what happens when I forget to mention Jay at the top of the stream as the producer. Sorry.
There you go. That's why.
Also, we got Anonymous coming in here with the Patch 9 shirt saying thanks to everyone at NSF for the awesome coverage. Go Flight 10. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So lots of stuff to come that is still very exciting there. Here's some questions related to the second tower. Do you think, Cody, I'll throw this one to you first as a thought experiment. Do you think that Tower 2 will perform a simulated catch with Flight 10, even though, again, we know that they're not planning on catching the booster?
Right, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because they're still they aren't going to catch with Tower 1 on this one because they are doing that offshore divert to kind of get more data on those different catch what's the term? Bad options, if the engine goes out. But they do need to start collecting data on Tower 2 because pretty soon, soon, they're going to have to switch over to that tower. And with it being an entirely different system with shorter arms, you have different mass moments of inertia. You're going to have different control gains for your I assume PIDs. I don't actually know what control systems they use on that. But it's going to take a little bit of tuning to get that exactly right, as they did with the first tower, since they have those shorter arms. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that. But I'm not sure if all the systems are in there yet for them to safely do that during launch. In any case, they will eventually have to start doing testing on those arms to make sure that they're able to tune those in for a catch like they have for the first tower.
Yeah, and that's the thing next becomes the future of Tower 1 when they go over to Tower 2. Here's one from Space Dude saying, when do you think the Pad 1 launch mount will be destroyed? And along those lines, do you think that maybe we'll actually see Ship 38 fly? Or could this be, if we see a success on this flight, that SpaceX says, you know what, we're done with Block 2, version 2, all of that. Let's move on to Block 3 everything, put all of our focus into Tower 2, and then get ready to refurb Tower 1 or destroy it or do whatever they need to do to prepare it for the new variants. Alex, I'll throw that to you first, then Cody, I want your opinion.
Well, that's a lot of questions in one go.
Sorry.
Expect a long answer. No, but, in terms of, I'm going to answer the last one first because it's easier. In terms of whether they're going to be launching 38 or not, I think they will. First, because they have already said that. I'm reading here the words from the SpaceX website saying, every lesson learned through both flight and ground testing continues to feed directly into designs for the next generation of Starship and Super Heavy. 2 flights remain with the current generation, each with test objectives designed to expand the envelope on vehicle capabilities as we iterate towards fully and rapidly reusable, reliable rockets. So, they already have plans for a potential flight 12, flight 11, not 12, excuse me, with Ship 38, right? So they already have plans for what they might be able to do with 38 and that last flight of the current generation of boosters and ships. So I think there's a good chance that even if 37 does a perfect flight, that everything goes well, they're probably going to try either new things or the same things but maybe differently on 38 just to compare, something like that. Just like they did, you remember, for example, when they did Flight 4, then they tried again on Flight 5, and then they did it again on Flight 6, right? Like, the only difference between Flights 5 and 6 was that on 6 they added the in-flight, the in-space relight of the Raptor. So I can still see the same profile being run just to make sure that it's not a fluke, right? That it's like, okay, it really works. It's not that this particular vehicle was super, super good and everything is not good, right? To put it in a very nice way. And then back to the Pad 1 question, it's one of those things that we are sort of wondering about. What is the Starbase going to look like in a few years from now, right? Once you have Pad 2 online, is Pad 1 going to be a reconverted launch site, where they transform everything on the ground side from the current design to the new design of the launch pad? Will they turn it into a catch tower only site? Maybe a test site? Like, maybe they could just put some kind of, makeshift sort of flame trench of sorts and have a way of testing boosters separately so that they don't have all of the stuff at Pad B being occupied and everything. Like, there's many ways that they could use, in theory, Pad 1 that is not as straightforward as, let's turn it into Block 3 hardware. We'll see. There's stuff happening as well as we speak with exchange of potential land and things like that, and there's already different theories about what that might entail, because there might be a bit of an expansion at Starbase. And so some people are thinking, well, maybe they're going to expand the village, but others are thinking maybe they're going to expand the launch site, right? So look, it could go anyway, right? And I think the best way to just figure it out is watch it happen. Once they start doing the things that they need to do for whatever plan they have for it, we'll figure it out. But right now, as things stand, you could literally make 1,000 different theories about what they're gonna do here, and you're probably not gonna get it right that rapidly, probably.
Cody, what's your guess?
My guess is that well, the long set of questions there. Yeah, I think they're gonna fly 38 off of Pad 1. I think that's pretty well known there. And I think that Pad 2 is quite a ways off. So I'm not even sure if the first Block 3 is going to launch from Pad 2 or not. But what I do think is going to happen is after Pad 2 becomes operational, I think they're going to very quickly scrap the stuff that's currently on Pad 1. And what they do with that afterwards, I don't know. I kind of subscribed to a couple of the theories that were said earlier there of like, do they make it a catch tower and then build another tower for 2 launch pads? Do they turn it into another set of another like Block 2 tower like we've seen with Pad 2? I personally think that they're probably going to set it up to be a second copy of Tower 2, just so that they can have both launch capabilities. But as we go into the future here of ship catches, I don't know. We'll see what the capabilities of the catch towers are, and if they need a catch tower for those flights.
Exactly. I mean, we know that there will be catch towers planned once they start launching Starship from Florida. We've seen all of the documentation on that. You can catch up on all the building of those towers on the latest Space Coast flyover that we did. So we'll see what they do with it at Starbase. Gunfox, 52 months as a flight engineer, highest level of support here, coming in with this question. Again, we'll go through some of these speculation ones now, because a lot of this is just, what do you think right now? What is your guys' guess, with a little Shakespearean question here? To re-entry or not to re-entry? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler for Flight 10 to... anyway. Re-entry or not re-entry for Flight 10? That's the wording of it, was to re-entry or not to re-entry.
I think we need you to recite like an entire Shakespeare play, but it's just rewritten for Starship. But we need that.
And it's full of
no
puns.
one wants...
Yes.
No one wants to hear me... Would that be a pundit then? A pun sonnet? I don't know. Anyway, thoughts. I can't put it up on the bottom of the screen, otherwise I would show how Shakespearean it is. But thoughts. Re-entry or nah? Cody?
Like making it through re-entry?
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough because I'm still super shaky about Flight 10. Block 2 kind of scares me, and I still wonder if they have some gremlins they gotta work out on that. I think it's either gonna perform very well and make it to through entry to landing, or it's gonna have the similar failures last time where they're gonna have something around Seco go wrong. I'm not too sure. It's again still shaky, so I'm gonna go on the negative side here and say probably no re-entry. Well, re-entry in many parts maybe, or a large part. I don't know, but I don't know if it will be controlled necessarily. I'm still a little shaky on this flight.
That was as much of a wishy-washy answer as Alex normally gives. Speaking of, Alex, what do you think?
just like I made. So if you watch the latest Starbase update, there's a portion where we explain like what's the plan for Flight 10, and we talk about the entry and the fact that SpaceX, like even though this will be the first entry proper, probably, hopefully, knock on wood, for version 2 of the ship. The thing is, they're still going to try and stress test the vehicle flaps, right? So they say that they're going to be flying a much more aggressive entry for the ship, and that it's meant to stress test the aft flaps of the ship. And and I had a line there sort of saying, so don't be surprised if we lose Ship 37, just like we lost Booster 14. Because Booster 14, they were also doing an aggressive re-entry, right, on Flight 9. It was no surprise to us that it ended up exploding on landing burn. It actually went through a lot further than I expected before it blew up. I did not even think that it was going to get to the point of lighting up the Raptors, right? And it did. So for Ship 37, it's that thing. Like, if it goes through re-entry, that's going to be quite a thing. But if it fails through the re-entry while still side up, it shouldn't be a total surprise because they're flying it in this aggressive entry, right? Which they have not done before. They tried it with the Block 1 version on Flight 6. It sort of worked, right? They still... The vehicle sort of tried it, and it was a weird wobble that it did. It still made the landing. So we'll see with 37. But there was a part that I added that was like, but please, no diffuser nonsense. None of that, please.
Oh, geez, yeah.
No.
I mean, my thought process is, and someone pointed this out earlier, that it kind of feels like we've been seeing repeats of the early days of Flights 1, 2, 3, 4, with their success rates, with Flight 3 kind of ending up destroyed on re-entry, very similar to what we saw with Flight 9 on re-entry. If that's the case, then things bode better for Flight 4/Flight 10 in this case. So I think that we will actually see it make it to the Indian Ocean, at least heat shield side down. Whether it splashes down in the Indian Ocean in one piece or not, like you said, it's a different trajectory, so we'll see. But I think it will at least make it into re-entry with the heat shield facing the correct direction this time. Keep in mind, for the booster, it could very well do the exact same thing as Booster 15 because they are also testing that steeper profile and the different changes with that and the fact that it is meant to be offshore. And a reminder, when that kind of destroyed on its way down, that did not trigger the mishap investigation. That was triggered by the ship's re-entry. So I think that we might actually see it tile side down. How it does once the tiles hit the atmosphere, we'll see. But that's my prediction, at least.
Yeah, because I mean, throughout all these Block 2 tests, we've yet to see how it does with the new heat shield configuration in a heat shield down stable orientation. So it's going to be very interesting to see how those removed tiles hold up and how those metallic tiles hold up to see how Starship does.
Yeah, which that's a good point, Alex. For this vehicle, are we seeing the same kind of tile work that we expected them to test on Ship 35, we'll say, because Ship 36 never got to test its heat shield. It tested the payload bay door in a way, but what do you think?
Yeah, so there are the same experiments that they've been trying to fly for a while. I mean, I can even sort of point to some of them here because you can see this is Ship 35 on Flight 9. So just this side of the ship, for example, there's a lot of things going on here. So you have here the catch point. You've got here all of this down there. Whoop. And so all of this that you see black, those we think it's like the ablative material that they add as a backup below the tiles, but here it's like on the sides of the vehicle to protect the sides of the vehicle. They did this bare without anything on Flight 6, and Ship 31 was a lot wrinkly because of that. They still did not like that heat, and so they're adding this pyron, as it's called, the material, this ablative material. And then you may see this protection. So there's this here, there's this here, and then it's a little bit further down the ship. There's also there. So these protections, these are ramps that they have put on top of different, like very delicate positions, I guess, in the ship. So you see this one here further down. That's for the common dome of the ship. So that's the middle of the two tanks. You got here the methane tank. You've got here the liquid oxygen tank, and so in between there's a dome. There's a ramp there protecting the stringers for structural integrity and all that. There's another ramp here as well. for the top dome as well. I think also on the common dome there's the stabilizer point for when they lift the ships and everything, and then there's the socket for lifting the ship here. They're still not doing the lifting with the catch points, by the way. They're doing it with these. The chopsticks have pins that go into the holes, and so this ramp here is protecting that location as well. The whole reason they install all of that on the sides is because when they catch a ship, they're going to do the same as with the boosters. Those chopsticks are going to hit the sides of the ship, and before, all of this was covered in tiles. If you do that, your tiles are gonzo. So the whole deal with that is they need to protect the sides with ramps and everything and TPS to survive re-entry. They're going to test all of this hardware. They're going to test that on re-entry, because if that fails, they're going to need a bit of a redesign, I guess, for catching ships. But that's sort of the plan. Like this is the major part of the hardware that we're going to see being tested. I don't care about the test tiles. Like, oh, there's one that has active cooling inside. We don't even know what it's being, what it's using for the cooling or anything. I don't think they have talked about it. There are multiple different metallic tiles as well. They have tried metallic tiles, I think, since Flight 4. So there's many different materials that they're trying here. But I think this side of the ship, the experiments being run here, I think it's the important part, because without those, the ship cannot be caught. So, and of course, I don't think they're going to be catching any Block 2 vehicles, but this hardware can be translated into Block 3 vehicles very easily, because the ship is only going to be one ring taller. So, let's see. That's a long answer.
Watch out, Mr. Map. You have competition, Ryan Caton, here with Alex, with Mr.
It's the
Booster
perfect,
there.
because it's like,
Mr.
it
Ship.
shows all of the modifications and everything. It's amazing.
It really is. Yeah, and they say that, best part is no part. All those heat shield tiles removed from there. Wonder where those heat shield tiles went. Ooh, maybe they went after some of the merch available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com in our TPS collection. Well, there you go. How convenient is that? At shop.nasaspaceflight.com. We have our entire TPS collection there. We have the tote bags, which look awesome. I have I'm not drinking from it today, but I have my NSF tumbler there, the mug, to drink from. I take that with me to every launch. Keeps all my drinks super cold. So protected on the outside from thermal protection, keeping my drink cold on the inside. And that is not a cooled tile that I'm drinking from either. So I use that one personally all the time. I absolutely love it. Only a 6 out of 10 on the Segway. Come on. I will give a 10 out of 10 though to the merch. Again, I use it myself. We also have the phone cases with the TPS there and a couple of other different designs. We have them for iPhones. We have them for Samsung phones. There's different ones that are available on there. So yes, as seen in a NASA press conference, as drank by me. That it was on the floor. If you go back to Crew 11 post-launch press conference, I had it with me and you can see it on camera. But anyway, all of these and everything you need to get ready for Starship Flight 10 to rep the awesomeness that Starship is available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. So check that out. Let me also take a moment to thank the other people supporting in different ways. Nate, Astro95 Media, coming in saying, thanks for all the coverage, gents. I've got faith in Flight 10 is going to go the whole way. Sawyer, you need to come join us for one. Yes, I do. I know I need to come join you for one. I will get there, I promise. Got a little stuff that's going to happen tomorrow first, medical-wise, so it's going to be a little bit, but we'll get there. So, Cody, what do we still need left for launch? I know there's a brilliant checklist also on the next Spaceflight app and website for it, but what do we still need ahead of Sunday's flight? What still needs to come?
Yeah, so I have the list right here, luckily, so we're good. So a couple of items are going to be like the notices to air missions that we saw, in the Gulf. We need to see those for the Cuban and Mexican airspaces. And so just to ensure that, the area is clear for that. The temporary flight restriction for the launch site, actually around the pad. We see these around launch pads, just big circles. It's like, hey, do not fly here under any circumstances. There's a rocket that is going to launch. So that still needs to get set up there. the road closure needs to be announced on the road closure website. So far, the latest we have is that booster roll that's going to be happening at midnight on the 21st. And then further along, booster 16, not at the launch site. Same with ship 37. We don't see them out there, but soon that booster 16 little check mark will be ticked because we'll be seeing it down there. And then finally, we don't have the vehicles stacked. As soon as we have all those things done, we're good to launch, and we have all our prerequisites done before that. So it's looking like we're on track for launch, hardware-wise and regulatory-wise.
Yeah, we've got so much of the regulatory in early. I remember the launches where we were waiting like the day before. Will they, won't they get all the paperwork in and all these things popping up? We've done pretty well with it so far, admittedly. So
yeah,
that's good to know.
I was down there for Flight 5, and it was like, man, it was getting down to the wire. Did they have clearance? Did they not? And I was in a rented car with another person from NASASpaceflight, and we like all cheered when we finally got word of it. And so yeah, they do cut it down to the wire sometimes.
Yes, they got their clearance, Clarence, and their vectors, Victor. So far, everything is coming along from that sense really well. As you mentioned, next is still the hardware. We have the roll date for Booster 16. We will see when they end up rolling Ship 37, and then hopefully we get that full stack soon so we can release the Flight 10 patch. I know people keep asking about it in chat, so I just want to make sure we know that. And again, as these regulatory things pop up, as all of these things move, as we see these road closures, we do share them on all of our social media accounts. So if you're not following the NSF socials, you absolutely should. That way you'll know as soon as these new things pop up and as soon as we get all of the notifications for Flight 10, along with some other additional things like finding out about today's spacesuit stream that Das and Alicia did. Those all get pimped on the socials. Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok, they're all on all of those. Make sure you check it out if you're not already following the socials. And
Look
again,
at all
you can
those
see
streams.
Yeah, Alex, we got a bunch of streams coming up, right?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking today about the spacesuits stream that the Das and Alicia had. There's more spacesuits tomorrow. You can see there already in our channel. There's going to be a stream from the Johnson Space Center's Neutral Buoyancy Lab. They're going to be having all of those cameras. I think I've heard they're going to actually be down there in the water. Not Das and Alicia, but like the cameras. And so I'm really interested to see what we're going to be able to see there. There's also some footage as well that they have prepared ahead of time. So I'm really curious now to see what's going on tomorrow. But tomorrow we also have Europe's Future in Space. You may have heard a recent launch from a place very, very far north. It's actually the most northern spaceport in the world right now. That is Andøya in Norway. And so we're going to have, I think it's going to be the CEO and president of Andøya. So we're going to have two people instead of one. Usually we have one, but it's going to be two this time around. And so that's not the end of all, because if they also roll out Booster 16, we're also going to go live for that. Hopefully it's also in the middle of the night. So yeah, and also as you can see there, we have the stakeout stream and the Starship launch stream for Flight 10 already in our channel. So hit all the notifications bells and everything so that you can get notified, because sometimes when we do so many of these things, YouTube can get very upset with that sort of stuff and it doesn't notify properly. So if you click all of that, maybe that increases the chances, we hope, at the very least. But yeah.
Yeah, and also make sure you check the timing on it locally, because somebody was using British Standard Time there on the page, Jay, as opposed to the best time zone, Eastern Daylight Saving Time at the moment, also Eastern Standard, but the best time, because we know East Coast, best coast, so East time, best time.
Whoa.
And by the way, I mentioned the Europe's Future in Space, the NBL, the Neutral Buoyancy Lab live stream for tomorrow, the rollout stream for Booster 16. There's also going to be another countdown to launch, hopefully the day after. Maybe, we'll see. There's also a lot of things going on. A flame trench, and whenever they stack this thing, you guys are going to get your patch 10 revealed. Don't worry. But we're also probably going to be live streaming that. It all depends on the people being around. if I hate it when they do these rolls at 12 a.m. Don't you wish it would be like 5 p.m. or something like that, really with a good lighting and everybody is still awake?
I mean,
That's the
right
best
during
time.
right during rush hour, so it'd kind of be a bad time to close the roads. But yes, from a visual perspective, I agree. We want day stuff. We would like to be able to
Yep.
sleep. Also, I'm being corrected that it's British summer time. Ooh, even fancier, British summertime.
Summer.
Anyway, before things get even more off the rails, we have so many of those streams coming up that our operators and everyone need a chance to catch their breath. So let me thank the people here for joining us today. Alex, thank you for hopping on stream.
It's always a pleasure, and you know, that's the thing. We do these Countdown to Launch streams to keep you up to date with everything that's been going on. If you're catching this as a replay or whatever because it's too late, don't worry. You can catch up in the morning, things like that. We have many other things as well as going on. Booster rollout, ship rollout, stacking. You'll catch up. It's okay. Just you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that is going on right now.
No, nothing happening at all right now. Cody, thank you as well for taking time out to join us here on this Countdown to Launch.
Thank you. It's always amazing to be on, and I'm really excited for Flight 10 coming up here. Really hyped.
And I think I'm supposed to forget thanking the producer, Jay Keegan, so I'll forget to thank Jay Keegan for producing the stream today, so we're good there. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host for this Countdown to Launch. There's still so much more coming up to Flight 10 as we are now 120 hours and 10 minutes from the opening of the window on Sunday. We look forward to seeing you for all of those upcoming streams. Until then, have a good one, everybody.
Ship 36 just blew up.
Oh my god.
Flight directors, go for flight. Ignition. 2, 1. We have liftoff. Booster engine cut off. Ship engine cut off.
So about those launch dates, I think that may delay a bit.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Say again, speed off. It's orange!
145. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go. Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
It's meant to be igniting flare, correct? Ship 36 just blew up.
Yikes. Keep that. We don't need any more of these.